Hello there and welcome to today's class with myself. My name is Julie Sutcliffe and I run my Stampin' Up business under the name of the Paper Haven. If you're joining me for the first time today, then thank you, welcome. And please do give my channel a like and a subscribe and whatnot. I do one live class a week on a Tuesday called Coffee and Card, and I do various other events. Most of my classes do take place on YouTube, and this is today's class using the Yuletide Village stamp set, which is my favourite one from the current September to December mini catalogue. So I've loved this stamp set. I've made quite a few projects with it, and today I'm going to share with you some projects. We're going to do 4 cards, and yeah, we're going to do some colouring techniques as well. Now, I previously made one of the cards, which is card number 3. It will be the second video that will go up at 11:15. These have been pre-recorded, these videos, but I'm likely to be here chatting along if anyone is on and chatting away. So the other video, card 3, has already been recorded. It's already scheduled because I did that one for my treat day. But there was a part on it that I forgot to do. So when you come to do it, I've only told you to do these 2 sides of the project, but actually you have to do that one as well. So yeah, I failed on that bit, but I've told you now before you watch the video. So alternatively, if you watched my coffee and card from this week, you would have seen that we made exactly the same style card, but I did it in a different paper. In fact, I'm going to show you the better one. Let me find. So this is this week's coffee and card. So if you've already watched it, you know sort of what you're doing, but that was this card. Okay, so it's had its fair share of usages, this style card, and it's thanks to my friend Michaela at the Crafty Oink Pen, who sent me a gorgeous birthday card back in the summer with this fancy fold. So going through the kit for the ladies who did actually sign up to the class, you should have 3 sheets of thick white. You should have in between of those a sheet of Pool Party, and then you should have 3 sheets of the thinner white. Now, if you've got mixed up with them, the thick one feels thicker, the thinner one feels a bit smoother. So that's how I tell them apart. And you've also will have a 6x12 piece of this patterned paper. And then you should have a little bit of this ribbon. And I also put you some of the red and white twine in, I believe. And a drink and a biscuit. And of course, your stamp set. Now, the thing about this stamp set, which has been a benefit, is that it doesn't have greetings in it. So my customers have liked it because they might already have Christmas greeting stamp sets and not need any more. But I just want to let you know that I am using the Peaceful Season stamp set alongside it. And I'm also using the Falling Snow background stamp. They're not compulsory. You can use your own stash. So what I'm going to do on this first video, this went up at 10 AM. I'm going to show you card 1 and 2 and teach you some little colouring techniques, okay? So this is card 1. I don't know what the dog is doing. I've got the dog under my desk. Normally she's laid down, but she's just stood there like looking. I don't know what she's looking at or what she's looking for, but anyway. So colour wise, for ink pads today I'm using Pool Party I'm using Basic Grey, and I'm using Pecan Pie for ink pads. Now with the blends, I try and keep the colours to a limit, so you don't have too many colours, okay? But I've used Crumb Cake, Old Olive, Pool Party and Smoky Slate. And I was just looking for something. Oh, yes, it's there. That's fine. So these two cards are very, very simple, okay? So what we'll do first is we will cut. I'm actually going to do this one as a tent fold rather than opening up like that, and you will see why in a moment. So to make these two, because we're going to do them both in this first video, we need we actually need 2 sheets of the thick white. Pop that to one side. We don't need the Pool Party for this one, and we can probably get away with just 1 sheet of the thinner white. Okay, so let's cut this one first, because this is the easiest one. So these are the thick whites. So I'm going to pop just one of them in my trimmer. I'm going to pop it in landscape, so horizontally, and I'm going to cut it at 14.8 and a smidge, so like 14.8 centimetres. Okay, then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to score it, not cut, score at 10.5. I'm going to do my card that way, like that, okay? And this we will use for card number 3. So that half that's left over, you can pop that to one side. Okay. The other piece of thick white, I just want to gather is we're going to make sort of a DL size card, like a long thin one. And what I'm just going to open up the arm on my trimmer. I am going to pop it in landscape again, and I'm going to cut it at 20 centimetres. So width wise it's 21, depth wise it's going to be 20. Now this is spare. Oh no, it is the thick one, it's fine. Move the cutter out of the way, leave it as it was, don't turn it round or flip it, and then we're going to score at 10. Okay, and then we've got our card like that. Okay, and then finally we're going to do a little bit of cutting and close that arm for the mats on the card. So if you remember, this card is 10, so we are going to cut this to 9.5. So this is the thin white, it's a bit smoother. Cutting it to 9.5. Oh, I did need to keep the arm open. And the width is 21, so we're going to cut it down to 20.5. So we're taking ½ centimetre off. Okay. And what we should be left with is that's going to sit on our card like that. Okay. And then we just need to do one more for the front of this one. And this is going to be like a standard size that we normally do. It's going to be 10 by 14.3 and a bit. Okay. And then the rest of that is spare. These cards are very simple because I want the gorgeous little houses to do all the magic. So that's going to sit in there like that. Okay, so we can actually put the card bases just to one side for now. We're not going to actually use those until the end. And I'm going to start with this one, actually. Now, let me just check you can see that on the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to move my camera down a bit. There we go. So this cute little house just fits in to the left of the greeting. Now, you might not have as big a greeting as the one that I'm using. It is a bit bigger than how it looks on the front because it's reduced to 85%, so they can fit it on the front of the box. So it is quite a lovely, I do like a bold greeting, and I do like a nice font. I'm all for a font, so I am going to clean this because I can't remember. I think it was pecan pie that I used on it last. Come and lie down, you. The dog's she's on patrol. I don't know what she's doing. Craig's gone out and I think she's just on patrol in case he comes back. Come and lie down, darling. Come on, under here. Come on, lie down. Good girl. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the greeting first because you need to have the whole greeting. If you do miss a bit of the house off, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you want to have it on, but you do need to have the whole greeting. So I'm using pecan pie ink. She's probably my favourite brown now. It's replaced soft suede. And I'm going to stamp this right up to the right-hand side. Oh, I love it. And then the Merry. Now, the great thing with this Merry, you can see here on the one I've done, it just sits in on top of the letters between the T and the S. Whoever designs that I love it. It's genius. Don't know if it was designed for that, but I really appreciate that. And then you don't have to have it floating at high above. I just like that. In fact, I've stamped it better than on my first attempt, my first project. And then now I'm going to get my basic grey ink pad, and I'm going to take my favourite of the houses, which is this little set of 2. Now, if I was choosing one of these, I would totally be living in the one on the right because I love a 3-storey house. If that's got attic bedrooms, I'm all over it. I love it. So I'm going to pop, these have been well loved. So I'm stamping it up with basic grey. I always stamp in grey, really, for my outlines. And it's just going to fit there. Like that. Ta-da. Okay. And then while we've got our ink pads open, I'm going to use Pool Party. And I'm going to use that little stamp, which is here, to create the snowy background. Now, you can come quite far down. It just sort of, the snowflakes sort of sit inside each other. It's really well designed. Apologies, I've got a little bit of a cough today. Ooh. Might have to cheat this a little bit and put that in there like that. Oh, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. It's a proper blizzard. Did you get snow this week? We got a bit on Tuesday, Monday night into Tuesday. The dog's now trying to get out of my craft room, but we're just ignoring her. This is a right blizzard, but yeah, that's what Christmas is about. The snow. Okie doke. Come and lie down. Come on. Come and lie down, mate. And then we're going to do some colouring. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'm using crumb cake. Now, I've got quite a few pens. You're going to laugh at how many I've got because I don't know which have run out and which haven't. So, it's hard to see because you can't see through them. Which have run out and which haven't. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to try zooming in a bit, yeah. So you can see my colouring in a little bit better. I don't know if you can see here from my card that I have got a bit of a blend going on. It does look like the house has been a bit rained on and the bricks are a little bit darker, so I'm trying to make it look authentic, and I'm using the bullet end, the thinner end. And what I just do is I do a bit of the dark along the top. Now you have to be really careful because there's not much gap between these windows. You do have to go steady with it. And I'm just choosing to do the darker up near the top, and then at the bottom I'm doing it underneath where this little roof bit hangs out because it's like the shadow. And then what you do is you take your light one and you go, this will probably be the one that's run out, and you go over the top of, that's better, the dark. And it sort of blends in. Keep going over and adding a bit. It does take a few moments to dry out. And we're going to do the same at the bottom. I love doing these little houses because there's not a great massive surface area to do. And then for the rest of this house, I'm just going to take my light smoky slate and I'm going to go along here on the it's like the soffit board, I think it's called technically. I'm not blending, it's far too thin to do any blending. I'm going to do the windowsills with it, so just like a little line like that. And while I'm there with this pen, I may as well do that on the other house too. And the steps to the door. Talking of the door, my house has got a pool party door. Of course it has. So I'm going to colour the top left portion, excuse me, in Dark Pool Party, like the top left. And then I'm going over that with the light. And I can do the same on the other house, but there is a little bow on that house, which I've coloured in green. I don't know why, but I didn't want any red on these cards. I don't know why that is. So I'm just going to use a bit of Old Olive. Now, on my original, on the OG card, I don't know if you can see, but I've not done any blending on that house. It's all just coloured in with the light one. But on the card that we're going to do, card number 3, there is some blending there, okay? So I shall take the dark one again and go over the top. And then I'll grab the light crumb cake. And this one does look quite weathered, and I really like that effect. Excuse me. Okay, so there's not a lot to colour on that one. And because we've already cut our card base, which I'd put up here, I'm not going to do any blending brushes. What I do need to tell you is it's very normal to see the colour come through, soak through the card. Just going to glue that on. Okay, and there we have our first little Christmas card with some nice blending techniques. What I shall do is just zoom back out. That looks okay, I think. I think that's where I was before. The dog still stood up. And now we're going to do card number 2. Okay, which is this one. So it's that longer, thin one. Okay. Now, I've brought in here the edition of the church. The techniques that I've used for this one are exactly the same colouring wise. So come and sit down, Beulah. She's been very naughty, my doggy. So the colouring techniques are the same, really, but I've just used Smoky Slate for the church. I'll show you on this one, which is card 3 that you're doing. You don't have to have the church on. If you want, you can have one of the other houses on. So there's that house. you can do your own thing, or there's that one. They are stamped straight onto the card. They're not cut out. And again, just the same sort of rules apply. I've gone sort of dark under the roof, so it's created like a shadow effect. So yeah, the important thing, I wanted simple, nice cards for these. So we're going to take that Christmas again, and it's basically like the one we just did, but without the snowflakes, and it's just an extended version. It's the 12-inch version rather than the single. That's a blast from the past, isn't it? So I'm trying to get this right in the middle, like that, hopefully. Just watch that C, because it does hang lower than the rest of the should we see if I got it in the middle? How accurate is my eye? This could be fun. Just over 5.5. Nearly 6. So I'm about 2 or 3 millimeters out. Well, about 2. That's not too bad, Julie. And then the Mary is going to sit there again. She's now laid down. Sorry about me giving you a blow-by-blow account of what my dog is up to, but she's now laid by the door, waiting for Craig to come home, I think. She's going to have a fair wait. Okay, so I'm going to now stamp the church. And I'm also going to use the tree. So again, I'm using basic grey. And this should fit just nicely to the side. Like that. Yeah. Now, if you want to, you can pop a tree here. But obviously, well, it's not obvious, but you are only going to get a part of it on. But I just think it adds a nice bit of extra bit of colour. So you're only getting part of it there. And then we're going to pop this house here. And you will get room for a little bit more of a tree at that side. Like that. There we go. Now, I don't think I'm going to colour everything, because you've seen me colour the house. So I've just coloured it in exactly the same way as before. However, I've not shaded on that one, but you can shade. I'm going to start with the trees this time, and I'm using the light and the dark old olive. And what I'm going to do, or should I zoom in again? There we go. Is I'm just going to use the lines, not all of them, just some of them, to go over with the dark. So let Stampin' Up do the work for us, because they've drawn the stamp. And then we'll take our light. Oh, there's a tree there. And we'll just go over the top of it and blend it all in. And if you need a bit more depth, then you can go back in with that darker. And then there is another tree here. Okie doke. So I'm going to use Smoky Slate, dark and light. And again, I'm just using the bullet end, the nib, rather than the brush. And the first thing I'm going to do is go over these edges with the dark. I don't know if you can... Oh, look, I've gone over onto the... You have to be very, very careful. I'm going to do the windowsills in that as well. And I'm going to start at the top. So I'm going to do a little bit on the spire. So you've got to think that there's probably a bit of shadow under here from the roof. So I'm going to go down there with it. I might put a little bit of dark round the door. Like that. A little bit down here. Now this doesn't have to be in straight lines. A little bit down the side of that corner of the building. And then some more there. So it's sort of very, very higgledy-piggledy. And then we go over with the light. And as you can see, I am pressing quite firmly, and I'm using small circular motions where I can. If I get to a bit where I need to take care, then I stop with the circular motions and I just colour as I normally would, and then I go back to the circles when the space permits. Now, I forgot to say at the beginning of this, you can pause this if you need to. So this first video was live at 10. When I just checked a couple of minutes ago, it was just over half an hour ago. So probably this video will probably finish around 10:45, and then the next one is scheduled for 11:15. So you've got some time to finish off, get the washing out the machine, make a cuppa, then come back. I don't know if you can see from there, you can see the blends, the blending of it. So the next thing I'm going to do is the door. And I'm going to use the crumb cake for this, just so it's a contrast. And like I did with the pool party door, I've just done a little bit on the left-hand side in the dark, and then I've gone over with the light. The stairs, I'm just going to use a light basic grey. Not basic grey, smoky slate. I haven't gone round the window there. And then, oh, I missed this bit. And then we just need to do the wreath. I'm really sorry, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so I keep sniffing and coughing and spluttering. Just did a little bit of pool party on that one, and I realised I didn't colour it in on the original design. It's naughty. Okay, do you know what? I should really finish the whole thing. Shouldn't only do half a card. So we'll go over this again. Oops, I've gone a bit. So I'm not going to talk you through this. Beulah. Just apologies, I think there's someone at the door. Come on. Beulah. Sorry about that, just had a parcel, but hopefully you got caught up with a little bit of colouring while I was gone. Now obviously I'm colouring these houses in quite realistically, colour-wise, but I have seen a few cards online where they've been coloured in like bright colours and they look fantastic. You know, a bit Balamory. Probably only people in the UK will get that reference. It's a kids' TV programme where all the houses were different colours in Scotland. Okie doke, so I did end up colouring all of it. There we go. Now what I'm going to do, you don't have to do this, but you can see from, in fact, I'm just going to zoom out. You can see from my original design, it's gone a bit green. I think my ink pad needed re-inking, which I since have done, but I've sponged around the edges. So if I don't do that, it would look like that. Yeah. Okay. It just gives it a little bit of a pop. Now, you can see I've been inking on my desk. I don't mind inking on here because I always clean it. Well, I haven't this week because I knew I was going to be inking again. But I just start off the side, and then I'm just doing circular motions, and I'm going to come along the bottom. Now, if you love glitter, if you have a Wink of Stella glitter pen, you could always use that as well. Do share with me what you've done. And there, that's it with it inked up. Yeah, look at that. It just pops a bit more now, doesn't it? So I'll just glue that on. There we have card number 2. So we've got card number 1 here and card number 2. Now, if you've got some time in between, on one of your pieces of thin white, I have allowed a whole sheet for stamping and colouring. So if you've got some time now in between the classes, you can stamp and colour some of the houses, because we're going to cut them out to use on this next project that's going live at 11:15. And we're actually going to use a couple on the last project, so you can just stamp and cut lots of different houses out. But if you want to do them as I've done them, so that's card, let me move these out of the way. This is card 3, so you need one of each of the different buildings. And then for card 4, you will need some sort of die cut. It could be a circle, a square, a die. And I've done a church and the medium house. And then I've used the piece that I cut out to make a little gift tag. And again, I've used those. So that's what you would need for cutting out. So you can be stamping those. But we are going to do card 3 together. I can't remember. I've already pre-recorded that. If I colour them in, I think I just add them on because I've already coloured and cut them. But we'll see. I can't remember. Anyway, that will be live in about half an hour at 11:15. And I will see you then. Bye.